Welcome to Center for Spiritual Living, Port Angeles, on another beautiful Thursday evening. So grateful to have everybody here. So grateful to have Joel back with us playing guitar. If you are seeing this online, I invite you to possibly listen with earbuds. It might help you with the sound. If you live in the Port Angeles or Sequim area, or even Joyce, come and visit us. Check out our website, www.cslpa.org. Find out more about who we are and what we do here. We have an opening song, I Send My Love Over the Mountain. I send my love over the sea. I send my love into the heavens, and it returns to me. So we, as always, use our opening song to get quiet, to let the day go, to breathe. And this is a great song about giving and receiving, so we involve that as well. I send my love over the mountain. I send my love over the sea. I send my love into the heavens, and it returns to me. I send my joy over the mountains. I send my joy over the sea. I send my joy into the heavens, and it returns to me. I send my peace over the mountains. I send my peace over the sea. I send my peace into the heavens, and it returns to me. I send my power over the mountains. I send my power over the sea. I send my power into the heavens, and it returns to me. I send my love over the mountains. I send my love over the sea. I send my love into the heavens, and it returns to me. And it returns to me. And it returns to me. Beautiful. Lovely. Oh, let's see. What do we want to do next? I know. Let's do our vision and our mission. So every week we do our vision and our mission just as a reminder of who we are and our intention in the world and how we act out that intention in the world. So our vision. We are an open, safe, creative, and spiritual community where we experience divine love and connection every day. Our mission. Through spiritual, artistic, and social gatherings, we experience and express divine love. Our intentions create ripples of compassion into the world. Lovely. I have a number of announcements, as I did last week. We have lots of really cool events coming up. Tomorrow night we have drumming. These are not, some of them are in your program, some are not, but we have drumming here in the Glass House tomorrow night from 7 to 8:30. You can bring a percussion instrument, or we have extras in case you don't happen to have any handy. We're happy to share. We have our women's group, our Women's Wisdom group happening this Saturday, and that's from noon until 2 p.m. It's a safe place where we can be authentic, share with each other, and be heard and witnessed without being fixed. So I invite you to come and participate in that. We have a series of workshops, and the first one is next Wednesday, and it's going to be focused on abundance Through interactive drama games and play, we're going to become the observer and look at our beliefs about abundance and stepping into a fuller expression of abundance in a whole new way. So I invite you to come and play with me about abundance next Wednesday. And Uric is hosting an open men's circle twice a month, first and third Saturday of each month, and that's going to be from 10 a.m. until noon, and the second meeting is coming up in 2 weeks on the 17th. So come check that out if you are a man. And last but not least, we have a summer solstice crystal bowl sound bath. We'll have beautiful crystal bowls being played in this room, 2 p.m. and 7 p.m. on that Wednesday. I invite you to come, sit in a chair, lay on the floor. We will have extra mats. So just bathe in that beautiful tones of crystal bowls with Sophia Enqvist. And as always, if you are new and would like to be on our mailing list, we have an information card in the back you can fill out. And if you've got anything that's concerning you, weighing on you, or something you want more affirmation about celebrating, we have prayer request forms in the back of the room. You can fill those out, fold them in half. Reverend Clancy and I will do prayer work on them all week long. And anytime after gathering, if you would like a private, brief affirmative prayer, we have Shirley, Clancy, and myself available for that as well. We're going to be soon setting up a little tent out here so that we'll have a private space for that after our gatherings on Thursday night. So you can get a live prayer, and you can also get a written or emailed or phone call prayer if you turn in a prayer request. So many just great ways to know the truth beyond the appearance. I invite up Shirley Grace to do our opening reading, our brief time of silence, and then she will give a beautiful affirmative prayer.
Our reading this evening is from Ernest Holmes, the founder of Science of Mind and Spirit. The history of mankind has proven beyond all question that the practice of love can dissolve our fears, erase our doubts, and provide peace of mind. Believing this, let us study the fundamental nature of love, its practice and use in our personal life. In doing so, let us feel and know that we can be victorious over all that is limiting and undesirable. That is from Help for Today. And it feels like help for the ages. Let us take that into our consciousness. The sound of the bell reminds me to turn to the awareness of the oneness of God, the oneness of life. That creative energy that made all that is, the one mind, the one spirit, the one power, the one love. And breathing in, I accept and know that I am all of that. That is who and what I am. That is who and what we each are. And I celebrate knowing that God's mind is my mind. God's mind is your mind. And knowing that, I accept the responsibility for my own thoughts. Knowing that with conscious, intentional thought, we can create our lives to be the magnificence they were meant to be. I am so thankful for this truth, this knowing, the power of participating in the divine mind, the divine creative process. And I am thankful for this space, this place, where we can come together in community to enhance our knowing. Life is so very, very good. I am so grateful. as I release my word into the law of God, and it comes back to me, manifest perfectly. Life is so good. And together we say, and so it is.
Thank you, Shirley. That was beautiful. We have a new song that we just worked up today. The words are on the back of the insert. If you would like to follow along. This is a song I've heard a long time ago, and I've been wanting to sing it forever. And today was the day. Let the Spirit gather round me. Let the stillness show me where to start. Let me feel the silence that will guide me to the center of my heart. Let the lightness lift each shadow. Let the darkness wither and depart. Let this longing be a beacon as I journey to the center of my heart. Release me to wander unafraid. You teach me to bend. So if the journey falls apart, I'll find the center of my heart. Fill my heart with one devotion, one intention undivided and assured. Then I'll know the presence of the guide to the path that will release me to wander unafraid. You teach me to bend. So if the journey falls apart, I'll find the center of my heart. Release me to wander unafraid. You teach me to bend. So if the journey falls apart, I'll find the center of my heart. The center of my heart. Help me find the center of my heart. I love that song. You may go relax. Good. Don't you fall off there. Thank you. This whole month, the theme is accountability, which sounds really serious. I remember several years ago when our monthly theme was obedience. And I just had this visceral reaction. I'm not going to obey, I don't have to obey. And accountability feels very similar to that. You know, it's so serious. So we're going to talk about accountability, but hopefully not in a too serious way. There are some steps to accountability, and the topic is creating a culture of accountability. something that seems to be missing in a lot of our world these days. This sense of being accountable for our actions, our thoughts, our behaviors, and I love this term, being responsible for them, able to respond. I think one of the first steps in being accountable is to release our shame. Shame is this weird, insidious thing that infects us with the belief that we are wrong. Somehow, intrinsically, the core of who we are is wrong. Guilt and shame are different. Brene Brown, a shame researcher, talks a lot about the difference between guilt and shame. She says that guilt is the idea that I've done something wrong and I can fix that or atone for that, or we can't erase the past, but we can at least atone for the thing that we did or didn't do. When we feel shame, it's this deep belief that I am wrong. That's who I am at the core of me. And that feels insurmountable. It feels impossible to fix. I think that a lot of religious philosophies were founded on this idea of shame. And that you need an intermediary or some other thing to forgive you enough for the fact that you're so shameful so that you have a chance of having some happy life, maybe when you're dead. Which seems kind of depressing to me. So I really, personally, I really am working, well, no, I don't like to work on things. I play with shame. I notice more and more these days when I'm operating from a place of feeling I am wrong. And I am a little bit hypersensitive when I feel wrong. When somebody says something and I get that feeling in my body, my face gets warm. I can now identify the physical sensation in my body of shame. My face gets warm, my stomach gets weird, and my chest feels tight when I feel shame. And for me, when I feel shame, I tend to get immediately defensive. I have to defend my position that I am not wrong. Because my soul, our soul, knows that that is not the truth of us, that we are not born wrong. There are no mistakes in God, and so we can't possibly be born wrong. So that sense of defensiveness, I think, in some part comes from my soul that knows the truth. No, that's not true. But it's at war with my human self. My soul doesn't have war with anything. Let me go back up. There's this feeling of conflict in me because I feel that shame. When I make a mistake, when I say the wrong thing, when I don't do something I said I was going to do, when I've had a couple of times where I've missed appointments. Ooh, there's just this visceral feeling. I mean, think back to the last time you totally messed up. Even if it wasn't a really big thing, but oh man, I completely missed that appointment, that commitment I had with my friend. Or I said something and they heard it completely wrong and interpreted it differently, and so now I feel ashamed when that was never my intent, and yet I feel that sense of shame. So I think we can all connect and relate to shame. In order to be accountable, we have to be willing to face our shame head on and heart open. Our head, which wants to rationalize things and is very good, very intelligent at reasoning things out. So we can explain, well, this is what happened and this is why I did what I did, and make up all those things. Our head will do that, but if we can face the shame that we're feeling with our heart open enough, we have an opportunity to become accountable. To really be with a person or ourselves with that deep sense of love that has enough room for whatever's going on, whatever's happening. I made a mistake, or I feel embarrassed about this part of myself that I'm afraid to reveal in the world. I feel shameful about this particular part of myself, that if somebody knew about it, they might judge me. And so I have to hide that. When we can bring that to the light and say, this is just a part of who I am, and there's nothing shameful about it, it's just part of who I am. Bring it into the light, face it, and be willing to share our truth. But before we can do that, we have to build some trust with the people that we might be sharing with. We're not just going to tell everybody everything, right? Because there are people that will use that. Nobody can really, truly hurt us, but there are people that if they knew certain things about you, that would come up in every conversation you had from then on. They would use that as a stick to beat you with. Or try, maybe. So we get to build trust. That's kind of the second step. First, we get to recognize and be willing, maybe, just willing. We might not be good at it yet, but at least willing to say, I'm willing to face when I feel ashamed. And to acknowledge that what I'm feeling now is actually shame and not something else. And then we can begin to build some trust. Ernest Holmes is the founder of our philosophy, Science of Mind and Spirit, and his whole life he was an amazing healer and also had a great connection with children. He actually worked, I think, at a Boys and Girls Club for a long time when he first moved to Los Angeles from living back east. And kids just were, he was like a magnet for kids. And there's a great story in this book, Help for Today, which is one of his books, that I want to just, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I just want to touch on some points because it really spoke to me about this idea about building some trust. He said, a few years ago, I talked with a child who was suffering from a severe attack of asthma. There had been a great lack of love in the home, and the child, through action and word, revealed emotional insecurity. It was pitiful to see this child unconsciously aggravate her condition in order to attain attention from her, quote, very busy parents, unquote. Knowing that her little heart was crying for love, I asked, "Do you believe God loves you?" "Yes," she unhesitatingly replied. "Do you believe God can heal you?" Although she was only a child, her innate wisdom astonished me as she replied to my question. She said, "Yes, but some things have got to happen first." Some things have got to happen first. So when we want to build some trust about our own instincts, our own intuition, and trust with others, sometimes we might have this idea, well, I'll try to trust you, but some things have got to happen first. You know, you've got to show me you're trustworthy, or you need to love me differently than the way you've been loving me, or whatever story we make up. So my question would be, if you are saying, I want more love in my life, or I want more abundance in my life, or I want to heal this health condition in my life, first of all, do you believe that God loves you? Well, I have a tough time with that question because I don't see God as a being. I see God as an energy. And I do believe that this energy is one of love in this much bigger sense than we can ever possibly understand it as a human being. So yes, I believe that spirit, this energy we call God, absolutely loves us. Do we believe God can heal us? Maybe we have a belief, yes, but some things have to happen first. Maybe. He goes on to talk about, you know, that she had parents who were busy, and so her asthma was a way of getting attention. And he said, perhaps some changes should be made, but let's begin with you. God needs you to bring happiness and love to this home. Instead of resenting your parents' inattention, love them and give them your attention. And no matter what happens, don't weaken, don't give up. Just know that God will help you because this presence wants you to be happy, to laugh, to love, and all of this you can do, for Spirit is always where you are. So to build trust, I have to bring trust to the situation I want more trust in. If I want more love, I need to bring more love to whatever it is that I want more love from. If I want more love from my husband, I need to bring more love. If I want more abundance, I need to bring abundance consciousness to the situation. I need to bring more of whatever it is I think is missing. And that seems counterintuitive. Well, if I don't have it, how can I bring it, right? But we always have some storehouse, some resource that we can pull from. We always have enough of whatever it is that we need, even when it doesn't feel like it. So whatever situation might be going on, well, I want it to be different. Okay, let's start with ourselves. What can we bring? What maybe have we been bringing? Have we been bringing resentment, need, anger, whatever it might be? So can we bring something else to that situation? So we begin to release our shame, or at least look at it in the face. We begin to build some trust by bringing more trust and seeking out those situations and people where we can practice, if we haven't already got a good practice of trust. Practitioners are a great place to begin to practice trust, because as practitioners we have a solemn duty of confidentiality. So we are never going to talk about anything you talk about with us. We're never even going to talk to you about it when we see you the next day. Once it's done, it's done. So it's a great place to begin to practice trust in a safe space. Our women's group, our men's group, some of our classes, well, all of our classes, are great places to practice stepping out onto the skinny branches of life, where out in the world it might feel unsafe, but here you're completely safe. Even when you fall down, there's a soft place to land. So after we begin to build our trust level, then we look for and can begin to offer encouragement for this accountability. We can offer encouragement by being a space where people can safely be accountable. Where if someone is accountable to us, we're not going to slam them for it. A couple of things that I found in these quotes. One was from the Bible, Hebrews. And let us consider how we may spur one another on toward love and good deeds. Let us not give up meeting together, as some are in the habit of doing, but let us encourage one another, and all the more as you see the day approaching. And Ernest Holmes says, we should allow the gifts of life to flow out to everything we touch, everyone we meet, every situation we contact. Then, wherever we go, every situation is blessed, every person is lifted, every discord is harmonized, without our even being conscious of it. I love to go out in the world, and we talk about being a ripple of compassion here. And I love to imagine that wherever I go, I'm being a ripple of compassion. I'm leaving, flower petals in my wake of love and compassion. Wherever I go. Grocery store, getting my gas, the simple mundane tasks of life. That I bring myself to that. And I do my best to stay conscious enough to know that the gifts of life are flowing out from me in this moment. Sometimes I'm not there. We're allowed. But how much more beautiful would the world be if we just kind of imagine that everywhere we go, we're rippling out this energy of love and spaciousness and acceptance and grace. I saw a fascinating interview on Facebook this week with Charles Barkley and another gentleman, I can't remember his name, and the person who created and is touting the alt-right. His name is Richard Spencer, I believe. And they were having a conversation with someone who appears to have a very different idea about life than they do, these two gentlemen. I was awestruck with the spaciousness of the conversation. And I saw, some feelings coming up, especially in Charles Barkley and his friend, about some of the things that were being said. But there was spaciousness and a sense of accountability about staying in high consciousness in the conversation. Nobody beat each other up. Nobody yelled at each other. Nobody tried to change the other person's mind. They were merely listening to each other. And, what happens after that? I don't know. Our country, our cities can feel very divided these days. And can we be accountable enough to just listen to someone without then putting on our ideas and our way of thinking and our way of being? Can we just witness, even if we completely disagree with someone? Can we? And our center is part of the interfaith community here in Clallam County and Jefferson County, the whole peninsula. And that's what the interfaith community strives to do. They have listening circles every month where people can come and talk on a particular topic and nobody gets interrupted and they're just heard. And nobody makes a comment or tries to fix or change. They're just heard. To be listened to. We don't get that a lot anymore in this society. So I think that's a way of offering encouragement, being a space where people can say what they need to say, even if we don't agree. That's hard. Oh, that's so hard. We want to change their mind. We want to make them see the right way. Well, I don't know what the right way is. Except I know that it's the way of more love, more compassion, more kindness, more spaciousness. That's about all I know. So to be accountable, much like responsibility is response-able, able to respond, I think accountable is being able to account for our choices, our thoughts, and our actions. Can we account for them? Not explain them. That's different. I don't want to have to constantly explain why I'm doing what I'm doing, but can I be accountable for it? Can I be conscious enough? Part of that is becoming observant. How and when do we react? Or the current catchphrase is, I'm triggered. How and when do we react? And how and when do we instead respond? When someone we love says something and we want to go, "Arr!" That's reaction. When someone we love says something, we want to go like that and we go, okay, let's talk about that. That's response. Just the space of a breath gives us a space to respond. One of Clancy's mantras, I believe, is, I hear you, I see you, how can I help? Is that correct? I hear you, I see you, how can I help? When someone is in upset, I hear you, I see you, how can I help? I don't know, I'm just okay. Sometimes that's enough. So to become an observer, I kind of imagine that I'm stepping back over here and watching myself. Isn't that interesting how with that person, I tend to have reactions instead of responses? Or isn't it interesting that in that situation, I tend to have reactions instead of responses? Responses have me feeling accountable. Reactions have me feeling shame. The good news is, if I have a reaction, I can quickly become accountable and make it a response instead. Sometimes I've said to my beloved, wait, rewind. Now what I meant to say was, I love you, and now let's talk about that thing. That's what I meant to say. What came out was, ah! What I meant to say was this other thing. When I catch myself, which isn't always, and sometimes it has to be later that I can become accountable for what I did or didn't do, said or didn't say. I feel and believe that the more we can become and the more we can embody a space of accountability, I am a space of accountability, then the more room and the more trust then others can have to be accountable with us. Again, bringing to the situation what I want more of. If I want people to be accountable to me, I have to start with being accountable. So the more that we individually are accountable, the more others have a spaciousness and a safety to be accountable with us. I vividly remember decades and decades ago, my fabulous training. My brother and I were teenagers, and she came back and she said, "You were different. You kids were suddenly different from all this fabulous training I went to." And it wasn't that we had changed overnight, over a weekend. She brought into the space of these two crazy teenage kids something new, a different spaciousness, a different sense of response-able instead of reactivity. And so we then had space to begin to go, oh, well, there's no pushback here. Maybe we'll be a little different. Aikido is like that. There's nothing to push against. So accountable gives people space so they don't feel they have to push against who we are, what's going on. I want to close today with a meditation that I'm pulling from this book, Help for Today. So I invite you to get comfortable in your chair. Take a few deep breaths. It's a little long, but it's really juicy. And it feels very true. So I just invite you to allow whatever part of this you get, you get. And back in school, when I was going to child development classes, they said in nursery school, you get what you get and you don't throw a fit. So you get what you get. You're going to get exactly what you're supposed to get from this meditation. So take a breath. And just have a spacious, open heart. Joel, whenever you're ready. I do not know what label you have placed on yourself, but I know you have a label of your own creation. But for the moment, let us forget such labels and simply affirm that you do belong to the universe in which you live. A power greater than you are has put you here. Everyone has a place to fill in life, and the world has need of you now. Therefore, you must affirm and believe you are one with life because you represent life. And you are one with infinite intelligence because you can think and reason and have the capacity to choose. You are a creation of divine mind and therefore the beloved of God. This statement isn't just a platitude. It's not simply an idealistic theory. It really is the truth about you. An understanding of this truth will bring you a new sense of dignity and respect for your real self. Remember that you cannot love anyone else until you first love and respect yourself. You do not have to concern yourself about being self-centered, because as you consider the truth about your spiritual self, you must also recognize that this truth is the same about everybody you will ever meet. Just accept then that no matter what your experience may have been until now, the truth about you is that while you were born of human parentage, the real you that came through this human parentage is an original, creative, wonderful being. You are God's beloved. This isn't a myth. This is real. Accept this truth about yourself and be aware of how different you immediately feel. You are the beloved. You are here now for a purpose. The universe specifically created you. We can be accountable for that. And so it is.
So it is.
Take a breath. I'm going to close with the quote that we began. The history of mankind has proven beyond all question that the practice of love can dissolve our fears, erase our doubts, and provide peace of mind. Believing this, let us study the fundamental nature of love, its practice and use in our personal life. In doing so, let us feel and know that we can be victorious over all that was limiting and undesirable. Love and accountability, they help us through all things. So this is our time for giving and receiving. Oh, before we do that, we're going to do our affirmation that is in our insert in the program. Oh, here's so you can read with me. I am able to account for my thoughts, choices, and actions with integrity. I release shame and blame and step fully into my authentic expression. Beautiful. Now it's our time for conscious giving. This is part of that giving and receiving we talk about. We put forth into the world that which we want to see more of. And so if you have a gift you're giving today, I invite you to place it on your heart. Give it a little extra love. If you're giving an intangible gift, you can do the same thing. And we'll do a little bit of I send my love over the mountain as we pass the bowl. There we go. Send that back. I send my love over the mountain. I send my love over the sea. I send my love into the heavens, and it returns to me. I send my joy over the mountain. I send my joy over the sea. I send my joy over the heavens, and it returns to me. I send my peace over the mountain. I send my peace over the sea. I send my peace into the heavens, and it returns to me. I invite you to say our conscious giving affirmation with me, also in our insert. I am open to give. I am open to receive. I am grateful to be in the flow of life through and as me. And so it is. Our closing song is You and Me. I invite you to stand up. It's a peppy little tune. One life living as you and me. One light shining as you and me. One love loving as you and me. 'Cause God is all there is. One life living as you and me. One light shining as you and me. One love loving as you and me. 'Cause God is all there is. I'm shining from the inside out. I'm so happy. I just want to shout. Woo! One life living as you and me. One light shining as you and me. One love loving as you and me. 'Cause God is all there is. One life living as you and me. One light shining as you and me. One love loving as you and me. 'Cause God is all there is. I'm shining from the inside out. I'm so happy. I just want to shout. Woo! One life the back. Tea and water, thank you for coming. So grateful to have you here this evening. Look forward to seeing you next week. Mwah! Thank you, thank you, thank you.